Entrepreneurship is supposed to be the dream, right? Freedom, control, no boss. But right now, more and more entrepreneurs are quitting that dream and going back to a 9 to 5. And while there are plenty of reasons that people throw around, the key problem seems hidden to so many. In fact, there are some big shifts happening right now, from the pace of AI, the way people are making buying decisions, the pressure entrepreneurs quietly carry every day. But when you trace it all back, there's one core issue beneath it all. Let me explain. By the way, if you're new here, I'm John, founder and CEO of AdClients.com, and we've helped our clients all over the world generate over 122 million using battle-tested marketing and sales strategies. And we also run the UK's #1 event for online entrepreneurs called AdCom. The first reason that this is happening, and this is not the main reason, we're going to get to that later on, but this just has stood the test of time, that there's an unrealistic expectation on what entrepreneurship actually is and what it means for you as the budding entrepreneur. It would appear that so many people are sold this dream in the wrong way. Yes, we want the freedom, the control, no boss, and all of those great things that it brings, but we're under the impression that it's easy to do, or that it would be the easier choice than the 9 to 5. And so we shift over from a work day only to find that we've gone from a 9 to 5 to a 7 to 10, and we're making less money, have less freedom, and we're freaking out over the decision that we made to be an entrepreneur in the first place. So I think it's really important to be honest and point this out. Entrepreneurship is not easy. In fact, being an entrepreneur is very, very hard. But what I tell my clients is what I'll tell you right now, that every decision you make is hard. If you continue working a 9 to 5 job that, yes, is less hours than it would be perhaps as an entrepreneur, but maybe it's unfulfilling, it's not enjoyable, you're not feeling like you're contributing or making a difference, maybe you're not feeling that you are appreciated in the workplace, that's hard. Right? If you are struggling financially and you can't pay your bills and you're trying to figure out how you can take on a side gig and drive for Uber to cover the bills, that's also hard. But then being an entrepreneur and going after your dream and trying to build something that can last and make a difference and have your stamp on it, that's also hard. So it is difficult. But it's also about choosing which hard you want, and there's no right or wrong. Entrepreneurship isn't for everyone. So you need to understand that it is hard, it's not easy, but will it be worth it? Absolutely. And for the right people, you will thrive in that environment. The second reason that budding entrepreneurs are struggling and failing in a lot of cases is the advancement of AI and how fast, in fact, it's moving. And what's a real problem here is not that AI is a thing and that it's advancing really fast, because that in and of itself is actually potentially quite exciting. There are issues within that. We'll talk about that in another video, but there are elements that are actually very exciting. The issue becomes budding entrepreneurs are trying to learn the game, and the game is changing faster than they can keep up. And so you constantly feel like it's 1 step forward, 2 steps back. And the reality is, unless you're in the right circles, talking to the right people, learning the right things, that is actually what's happening. Every quarter, AI has completely changed the way we do things, the way we run our businesses, the teams that we have, the strategies that we use. And so if you're dabbling as an entrepreneur, and you're kind of still working a job, but you're trying to do the entrepreneurship thing on the side, and you're spending a couple of hours a day looking into it, then you are going to get beat by how fast it's progressing. And there's going to be a significant knowledge gap between you and what's currently working. And the problem is you're going to be constantly chasing it in the same trajectory. The next thing that you need to be aware of is the trust and skepticism gap. Trust is at an all-time low, and skepticism at an all-time high. Now, AI has caused some of this, people not quite knowing what's real anymore. There's also just the financial landscape. People are struggling, it would seem, more than they have before. And the skepticism is pointing to the fact that it's been easier than ever for people to start businesses. And so unfortunately, you've got the internet bros coming online, launching a course, making $1 million and disappearing off to Dubai. And that's leaving a bad taste in people's mouths. And so this is another reason why startup entrepreneurs are really struggling, because gone are the days where we can launch a business and learn some very basic marketing and sales strategies. We are so far past that if you want to succeed, and again, it's worth it, but if you want to succeed, you're going to have to learn the advanced marketing strategies. You're going to have to really put some time into understanding sales at a deep level so that you can still continue winning clients and growing your business even when the landscape looks how it does. And that's where the real issue actually shows up, because even with AI and with buyer skepticism being where it is, the entrepreneurs that have this one thing sorted are still thriving. So what's really forcing entrepreneurs back to the 9 to 5? It's what I call not having your house in order. We work to this when we teach our clients. It's called the momentum framework. And there are 5 things that you have to have if you want a business that will last and will continue to grow and scale, even when the terrain of the entrepreneurship world continues to change. And the first step is what we're going to touch on right now. It's called the foundations, and it's getting your house in order. The next is traffic and funnels, but we don't even move down to that until we have this in order. And sadly, most people don't have their house in order. It starts with you. Understanding that there are limitations in our own mind, and we have to work on those limiting beliefs. We have to build certain key skills that we need if we have any hope of our business succeeding. So we can't blame social media, algorithms, sales funnels. We can't blame any of that stuff. It often traces right back to how we think, operate, and make decisions. So you have to work on feeling super confident in the offer that we have and what we're trying to put out there and the message that we're putting out to the marketplace, our communication and our ability to get that message across. You could have the best business idea, but you could suck at presenting, and no one's ever going to hear the message because they click away in 3 seconds. There's 3 more parts to getting your house in order. But by the way, you can get a free copy of this. There's a link in the description box. Just tell me where to send it. I'll get this straight over to you, and you'll be able to see the whole model. And I think there'll be a lot that you can learn that will save you a lot of time, and you'll be able to get some great results. The second piece is the offer. Making sure that your offer is positioned for the right person at the right time at the right price. Then we've got branding. I think back to years ago when I made my first few million online without a logo, without a brand name, without a website. I had no branding whatsoever. And back then that was okay. Right now, again, businesses are suffering and going out of business purely because they're losing on the trust being so low, skepticism being so high, and great branding could bridge that gap. But they miss out on it, and therefore they're losing their customers and clients. And finally, we've got operation. There's a few things that come under this. It's the way that you're managing the finances of the business, the way you're tracking numbers, and your team that you have around you. Even if right now you're a solopreneur, at least having a plan for where you're going to go and how you're going to grow. And we've got to make sure that we've got a tidy operation. And so sadly, entrepreneurs that don't have their house in order are jumping to these other things. They're not seeing success. They're going back to their job. And it's so sad because they were so close. They just missed this piece. Now, if you want to stay up to date with the dramatic changes for AI in the entrepreneurship landscape, then you've got to check out this video. Some of it's scary, some of it's exciting, but all of it is mandatory for you to learn. So check out this video. Hope you enjoyed this one, and I'll see you in a future one.